Today we're checking out one of the most beautiful, most realistic, and most fantastic projects I've ever seen in Planet Zoo, and guess what? This has all been done in franchise mode. Welcome to Camellia Zoo. So here we are in Camellia Zoo, and I could not be more excited to check this out. So this entire park, okay, there's a lot of stuff to unpack. One of the most important things that I do want to mention is that this was made entirely on franchise mode, except for the entrance, Planet Zoo blogger stated. That's the only thing that wasn't made on franchise. But the screenshots that I've seen of this park are like some of the most impressive ones I've seen. So we're just gonna jump right into it and check out this park. Now this entrance is already so incredible. I am just left amazed at how beautiful this is. I mean, just the layout over here. We have like this guest service building. We have this one right. Okay, cool. I am recording. For some reason, it looks like it wasn't recording, but we have like all these incredible buildings, and we can pass under this little bridge here too. This is just an incredible park already, and here we have the entrance. So yes, this is a Asian zoo, and it's based entirely on like Asian species and animals, which is so cool. Planet Zoo blogger has been working on this for upwards of 2 years, I think they said. And it really does show already. So I do have a little map pulled up, so we can kind of just go ahead and get started. To the left over here, it looks like we start off with the giant panda. I love that. And I don't know if you guys can hear it. Again, I am not sure what Editing Leaf is going to do in terms of this video, but there is music playing over here, which I think is always super important to have in your parks. I always forget to do it, but I always recommend to do it because it helps out so much. But here we have giant panda habitat, the giant panda habitat. This is gorgeous over here. So you can see they have this beautiful waterfall right down here. And I really do love this kind of like mud bank that you did down here. Not really a mud bank, kind of like this plaster effect that you have around this pool blogger. This is so cool. I also hope you're cool. I call you blogger because Planet Zoo blogger every 5 seconds is going to be a little hard to say. This is great. There's so many tiny building techniques that we can check out in here that like there's just so much to unpack like over here. Like I'm just pausing it so the music stopped, but you could see the tree guards right over here that prevent animals from climbing up trees. You can see that there's actually this little window, this porthole back there made out of glass so the keepers can look into the habitat without actually going in. Oh my gosh, I'm tripping over my words. I'm sorry. But there's a bunch of also like these tiny rocks on the ground. This is fantastic, and the foliage in here is just beautiful too. Also love this little catch guard over here. Like these tiny little details help make this habitat really stand out. We're only at habitat number 1, by the way. There's so much to check out. So this we can check out very quickly because we're gonna continue around here. But this looks to be just a tiny little garden with like these little food stands. This is so pretty. So yeah, you have this little pip shot water stand over here. You have these bathrooms. I feel like this is so realistic. This is exactly what you'd find. And I love these little garden beds too. That's perfect. But let's continue right back over here to check out the main viewing for the pandas. So yeah, just kind of zipping right along here. We have this incredible viewing structure over here. And I love the use of the statue here. There's just something so charming about like the base game East Asian theme that I feel like it's kind of making a resurgence. It's always so cool to see. But we could see the little panda back there just making its way around. But this is such a great view of the habitat. It's just so pretty. Yeah, this zoo is, well, this zoo, all my zoo tours are pretty much like real zoo tours where it's like, we're not always guaranteed to see the animals, but we can kind of make them out. That's always good to see. If we continue around right over here, we should be able to see probably one of my favorite animals in all of itself, pretty much. This should be the Malayan tapir habitat. You can see him right back there. Yep, you can see him right back there. And again, I'm not sure if you guys hear it, but there is like this little ambient speaker hidden somewhere where we can actually hear, I don't know, nature sounds. But this is a great habitat. Tapirs are mainly terrestrial species, but they do like a little bit of aquatic in there. So it's really awesome to see some swimming space for them too. But this is a beautiful habitat. This is typically what you'd find for an animal of this mass. You can see the little baby. Look at the little watermelon. But yeah, this is typically what you'd find with an animal with this large of a mass. You'll find these really big kind of like pacing trails in real life. Not really pacing trails, but really areas where they would trot a lot. And they typically leave some areas kind of untouched, which is why you kind of see these patches of grass that Blogger is doing incredibly well. It's always so cool to see. That is really cool. That is one of my favorite species over there, so it's so cool to see them represented. But continuing over this way, I think I'm going to go, like, not in the order of the map. I'm kind of following the map over here. Think if we continue over here, we should be able to come across their little water section, and right behind it will be something. I'm not sure what it is, but over here we can actually get a better view of their swimming area, and this feels so realistic. It feels exactly like what I'd see in a European zoo. Now, I know it's not a European zoo, it's not meant to be, but this feels like some of the same design motif. And here we go with the tapirs. They're swimming along in here, just doing their absolute best. I love this species so much. They're just so pretty, like not only in Planet Zoo, but in real life. And I love their little holding area back there. It just looks so realistic. Now, doing a complete 180, we're brought to this little elevator, so I'm just gonna pretend we took it. Just kind of sneak it around the back, don't mind me, because this is a blueprint on the workshop. I just forget by who. You can actually just walk through it. But who do we have in here? We have the Asian water monitor. That's really cool. So yeah, the Asian water monitor was added with the, I believe, the tropical pack, and this is just a beautiful species right over here. I really am so happy that we have them. I know initially I wasn't, but their model and their animations are just so good. Really wish that they allowed them to swim though. They allowed the Nile monitors to swim. That's my only. But we can see we have some babies right back there. Again, a very top-notch model. But this is just a really awesome habitat for them. I know there's not much water in here, and they are called the water monitor. I'm assuming that's what the building in there is for. But I don't know. It like, this habitat is just so cool. It reminds me of so many reptile parks I've been to. And we can check out their water area, which is right over here. That is so cool. So we can kind of dip right below the water surface and actually see they have a big old pool in here. We have this little lad swimming around in here, and we do have some growth under there, which is very cool. But that just looks so pretty. I don't know. This just feels like such a cool habitat. So we will constantly kind of like change up the path a little bit. So this area right back, I believe if we actually go up here, we're going to come across a water area. But this should be for 35, the Bengal tiger. And yeah, again, the music from the India theme is just playing right now. But look at this incredible habitat. Oh my gosh. So we went from like this incredibly beautiful, like lush paradise with like the tapirs right down there, and it blends so well into like this more drier kind of arid landscape with the, I believe, yeah, Bengal tiger. These guys are from India. It's really cool. Do they have the Sumatran tiger in here? I think they might. Like somewhere else in the zoo, I meant. Not in this habitat. They wouldn't mix them. But this is just a beautiful habitat. I love this little pond over here. Bengal tigers are exceptionally good swimmers, so it's really cool to see Blogger is giving them enough room for them to swim there too. That is a beautiful temple right back there. Again, using the Indonesian set, it just looks so pretty. But we're gonna zip zoom right down over there and check out what else is in this part. I do believe if we kind of sneak over here, we can check out another view. We'll check out what's on the left. This is just such a good view. I love these fences. These fences came out incredible, especially with like the little overhang, in case if you're not really aware. This is typically called carnivore fencing, and this is kind of the stuff that you'd see for like African wild dogs and big cats, cougars, all that stuff. They typically hang over the enclosure so that the animals wouldn't be able to scale it at least super easily. There's usually hot wire on the top just to make extra sure that they don't escape. But that is really cool. Love that style. And these viewing areas are just so pretty too. Like, especially for Bengal tigers. They're beautiful species. And giving them this big of a habitat, this grand of a habitat, I mean, just looking at that over there, it really feels like they are the king of this zoo because they have all this incredible space. And of course, back here, we have a couple more pathways that back around. I think we actually will kind of take that area. But back over here, we have a little bit more of a kind of eating area. I love this. This is so pretty. And then we also have another view back here where we can also see the tigers still going. And again, you can see that little climb, like the tree-proof fencing. Climb-proof tree fencing. There we go. Where it's kind of boxed over so that the animals can't directly climb it. That's really cool to see. Do we got a cool animation for these guys, or are they just eating? I think they're just eating, okay, or sleeping, or doing something. But that is a gorgeous habitat. Love that. How are you gonna top that? All right, so over here we have a little bit of underwater viewing. This one, oh, that is so cool right there. It is for the saltwater crocodiles. If you're a console player and you're probably wondering why my animals look a little bit different from yours, I do have some remaster mods on. I like to have the most accurate versions of animals possible. So I like to keep those installed because it just makes the animals look so much better. And it honestly helps the habitats too. They make it look so much cooler. But kind of edging into this habitat a little bit more, where did we lose them? Did they go underwater? Like where did the crocs go? Oh yeah, they're underwater. Let's check this guy out from over here. Oh yeah, okay, it's a little murky, which it's typically standard with zoos, but these guys are absolutely owning this habitat over here. It is so cool, especially like this little bit over here with like the little keeper fencing. That is awesome. It's like, I feel like rope really isn't going to keep these guys out, but that is just so cool. It just feels like these just tiny little realism touches just help this habitat, and so many others really stand out. And by the way, you guys can check out this zoo for yourselves on the workshop. I've linked it down in the description down below, so please subscribe. Even if you can't load into it or you don't want to, it's always worth a shot just to like send a subscribe to someone's park, even if you're not going to actually go into it. It always does help them out. But this is the gharial habitat. I'm kind of popping up over here just so we can get a better view, but this is awesome. You can kind of hear the little newts. Those are the little baby gharials. They kind of sound like little laser guns from Star Wars or something. But that is the male right there, the big boy. But this is just a beautiful habitat too. Again, this feels exactly like what I'd see in like a crocodile park or a reptile park, where it's just big open sandy areas for them to bathe, like sunbathe, and huge, just big old plaster pools for them to kind of just like swim around in. That is just awesome stuff right there. Now we do have a couple primates over here. I'm so excited about this because I love this style of exhibit. But we do have the Siamings in there, if you guys can't tell them from their little hollering. So cool. I love these species. But to the side of them, I believe we also have the largibbons, I've heard. And yeah, the largibbons, look at them go. But yeah, this is just another beautiful habitat. Well, technically two habitats, because they do share them like equally on each other's side. Always do love to see island exhibits too, because it's just so cool. It is so funky. It just always looks the best to me, to be honest. But this is just incredible over here. I love these climbing frames that you set up. I don't believe that they're on the workshop. I think these are custom made, which is so cool. Especially these kind of like longer rope pieces, even though they're not rope, they're bamboo. So it's just really, really awesome. These guys also have all their enrichment too in here. They have the little mirror mobiles. They have the balls, all that jazz. This is just beautiful. I love how you use the tetrastigma vines over there to really make that tree come to life. Beautiful. The riverbank too is especially well done. I believe these are actually the stalactites. Or stalactites, however you want to pronounce them. That is awesome too. I really, really am so impressed by that. But continuing on back here, are we actually able to go back here? Oh, yes, we are. This is staff area back there, so we're not going to go through that. We are simply a guest in here. So we actually do have the day rooms. Day rooms are technically the term used for indoor areas for primates. Typically, if it's too cold outside in some climates, they have day rooms so that they could actually get all their enrichment out indoors too. So we have a couple of them sleeping inside, which is very fun. I love everything in here. I do believe that these are by, I'm not sure, I think it might be Goron. But it's by an incredible creator, I believe. But on the other side, we can actually see the orangutans. I love these guys so much. Oh my gosh, that is so good right there. There are some true art shape senseis in the community, so that is just so cool to see. But look at this, all this custom enrichment for the orangutans, like the little feeder back there. I'm so impressed by that. That is so cool. But on the other side over here, we can actually see the lar gibbons. So adorable. These guys are probably one of the best gibbon species out there. They're just so adorable, and they're so tiny too, which is crazy. But yeah, this is a very impressive day room. That just looks so good. And this feels exactly like what you'd find in a real life zoo. Not too much on the frou-frou nonsense, but it's just so like, it's down to brass tacks. It's down to basics. You have your information. You have your seating in case you want to watch these guys. You have a couple potted plants just to help say, oh, this is a tropical place, yeah. And you have all your signage too, which is just so good. So yeah, continuing out over here, I believe we should be able to see the start of the orangutan habitat. Really, really awesome stuff in there. We can see a lot more of those jungle temples. Once the Indonesian style, it's so pretty. But on the other side of this, we can actually check out capybaras. Capybaras are an Asian animal. Well, I know a lot of Asian countries typically do tend to popularize and kind of glamorize the capybara, which I think is really, really awesome. I think including these guys in a zoo like this is really, really awesome because it shows animals kind of like have made their way all across the entire world, you know? Not just in terms of like, oh, this animal lives here, but this animal is super popular over here. Capybaras recently, they've really hit the main like stratosphere when it comes to like wealth of animal knowledge, but Japan really was at the forefront of the popularization of these guys because they were kind of like, I guess, considered kawaii. I don't know. This is just such a cool layout for a habitat. I love how it crosses right under you. Any habitats that you like that have multiple viewing areas that like go under you or over you, that is just always so cool to me, so I love to see that stuff. But we are over here for the orangutans, and I just love every single detail in here. These paths just feel so organic, and especially looking at like these little garden beds, it feels like each piece in here was painstakingly placed. I love the use of the siamang rocks in here. So yeah, these guys came in the conservation pack. Kind of a goofy statue, I'm not gonna lie, but the back of them, that is such a good rock piece right there. But turning right around, we can see the orangutans have a beautiful habitat set up for themselves. Again, looking at that crumbled temple, that is such a really cool technique. Just really making it feel like it's like collapsing on itself. That is just so cool. But one of my favorite things when I was looking at the Steam workshop page was that little view right over there of that Indonesian brick set. Because if we kind of like go over here, and I apologize, I'm getting out of my guest view. This is such a highly detailed little build because every single piece in here, if we go through and start deleting pieces, you can see there is so much layered detail in here. It really helped to make this come together, and every single piece in here feels so intentional. I know it doesn't really make sense to kind of show it off by deleting pieces, if that makes sense, but I really want to show off how incredible that all came together. That is so awesome. And again, some of the coolest things that I see in here by Blogger is the fact that they integrate their kind of like enrichment right into the habitat itself. So you can see the forage box enrichment is kind of nestled right into some faux rockwork right there, which is just so beautiful. It just looks so natural. But also it's like, you know, that is enrichment right there. Like you can look at that from anywhere and be like, oh, they can use that for enrichment. And it's just like a really cool sentiment to know that the zoo cares about their animals, you know? So I believe if we continue back this way, we are brought to another animal. What is number 19? It is the Indian rhino. Oh no, I read it wrong. This is the sun bear? Okay, cool. So yeah, this is the sun bear, which is exciting. Probably one of my favorite bear species out there. I have no idea where he is though. It looks like they're down at the other view. So let's kind of continue off over there. And if we see any other habitats along the way, we can stop. I honestly don't care about the habitats at this rate because look at this exterior decoration. I don't know. I feel like seeing this stuff around the zoo it just feels so good. It feels like not only do they care about the habitats, but they care about like the guest experience too. That is so good. But this is what I'm talking about. This is gorgeous in here, and it looks like they also have some koi fish in here. That's fun. But yeah, this is the beautiful sun bear habitat. Sun bears are really, really cool species. Like, they are one of the coolest and most interesting bears out there. He's getting a little glitchy right there, but we might be able to see he just finished drinking. But they do have these incredibly long lips. Not lips, tongues, that allow them to really get into like nooks and crannies of honey hives, of like holes for like termites and insects, which makes that enrichment piece, I believe that's the foraging wall, perfect one for them right there. So that is just a really, really cool way to integrate it right into the wall over there. Is so cool. But they also have a bunch of other climbing enrichment too, which is super important for this species. They're not super arboreal, but they do tend to spend a lot of time kind of like up above, which is cool. So yeah, continuing back this way, it looks like we are actually coming across the Indian elephant, which 21? Okay, so I think we might be missing something, or we're about to come onto something. But look at this. This reminds me so much of one of my previous projects. I'm not going to say it because people will be like, oh my god, you're going to bring it back. Nope, I am not. But I made some utilitries just like this. That's kind of the term that people have coined for the San Diego Zoo style of Elephant Odyssey shades. Typically big, tall shade structures for elephants with enough faux rockwork to make it look like they were made out of trees. Utilitries. That's pretty much it. But this is a gorgeous looking habitat. Like a huge amount of room for these guys. And I think that they also share this view with, we can find the species in here, the dhole? I think that's the dhole, right? That's gotta be the dhole. Yeah, it's one of the only Asian canines we have in the game. So that is really, really awesome. That's kind of the same exact mix I did for my park too, which is super fun. But yeah, this is so cool. So what they have set up over here, what Blogger has set up, is a predator-prey exhibit, even though dholes really aren't the predators of Asian elephants, but carnivore herbivore is set up. So what this is, it is a habitat that is made up front that almost looks like it's seamless with the habitat on the back. Typically, you'll find that the habitat on the back is a lot more for herbivores or a lot bigger animals, so you can see them from afar. Even back here, you can see the elephants are still quite large, but the dholes are a bit tinier, so they prefer the one, or the guests prefer the one up front so they can see them better. But that is a really, really cool kind of like practice over there. That is beautiful over there, Blogger. I love to see that. And so I think that this is what I'm talking about. This should be the butterfly garden, which is so beautiful. It looks like we have some blue morphos in here, which are South American species, but that's totally fine. I don't actually think we have Asian butterfly species in the base game of Planet Zoo, but that is just such a pretty butterfly garden. But this leads us back here, which we did something out of order, so I think I'm gonna actually pop over here. I'm just gonna show how we actually get over here. We basically went to the sun bear, then we went to the Asian elephants, and then we went to the butterfly house over there. I'm just gonna go over here because I want to trail this area back here because I love these animals that we're about to come on over here. These are the Indian rhinos, and I am so excited to check this out because like there are so many small things in here that I am absolutely loving to see. We can also see some wild water buffalo back there, very cool species. But the Indian rhinos have this really, really cool habitat, really open too, which I think is awesome. But some of the small design motifs that you actually see in here are so common in real life zoos. These are typically the kinds of fencing that you'll find for rhinos and elephants, typically are bulkier, heavier animals. You have these big old logs or big old plaster beams that really shoot up out of the ground. That's to keep these big animals with these kind of wide frames from like, you know, escaping their habitat and stuff. You also get that too with the elephant fencing right over here. But this is a beautiful, insanely gorgeous habitat. I'm not sure if they're able to share this space with the wild water buffaloes, because it looks like they actually do have a, like, what do you call that? Like an airlock gate, it seems like, which is cool. But I don't know, I just love that. Anything in here? Nope, bathroom. Good to know. But over here, I'm just going to zoom a little bit. We do have those conservation statues for the Przewalski's wild horse, which is always cool to see, which kind of gives us a little bit of a spoiler for what's happening over there. This is the wild water buffalo habitat. Again, I love this dry kind of look to the habitat. It looks like these were made out of so many different pieces. It looks like the buffalo grass for one, but the triordia grass, just the tips of these give that really, really awesome kind of like dry grass look that is just making this habitat really come together. And I love these species too. They're so pretty. But to the side of these guys, it looks like they also share a barn with the Przewalski's wild horse. Probably one of the coolest equine species out there because of their conservation story. Now, I know I kind of said this to death back in the release days of conservation, but we have new friends who have just recently downloaded Planet Zoo. Przewalski's wild horses were actually almost extinct, but thanks to zoos, like especially the WCS and the Bronx Zoo, these guys were brought back from the brink, and they now have over a couple thousand individuals in the wild now, which is just so good to see. And we're really making our way across like the Asian steppe because we also have the Bactrian camels over here. Again, any console players, you might be saying, oh my gosh, Leaf, those look so different from mine. Yeah, I do have another remaster which kind of brings these guys a lot more to their domestic versions because that's typically the kind of version of Bactrian camel you'll find in a zoo. Yep, so in case if you were, which their habitat looks good too. I love this. I love it. I love that shade structure. Look, it's so simple, but it really works. But yeah, these guys, there are two different kinds of Bactrian camel. There are the wild version, which I believe there's only like 100 individuals left, which is kind of crazy, and they're not common in zoos whatsoever. I believe they're only in Mongolia, which is crazy. Typically, the versions that you have at your own zoo, probably back at home, is going to be the domestic version, which are these guys over here. Yeah, which is pretty crazy too, because, oh, who do we have in here? Chinese pangolin! Yay! This is a really, really awesome habitat. Really not too crazy too, which I love for a species like this. They don't really need that much, but they are super rare in zoos, which is a little bit of a shame. But yeah, typically the other camels you'll find in captivity, I'm sorry, I'm on my camel tirade. I love this little viewing, not dome, but little glassway. Yeah, typically the dromedaries that there's only one kind of dromedary because the wild dromedaries, they no longer exist, which is kind of crazy to think about. But over here, we have a very, very beautiful kind of habitat set up for the Amur leopard. The Amur leopard is one of two true leopard species that we have in the game right now. This is a gorgeous habitat. I love these kind of like natural log pieces back there. But yeah, these guys are found from like, I want to say Iberia, a little bit down into Asia, like typically what you think of when it comes to like China and stuff like that. Really, really awesome species over here and a really, really awesome habitat. I wonder if you have something else over here. This is a gorgeous habitat. Oh my god, I'm gonna go in here just to look at the rock work, but that is just so pretty. Who do we have in here? It looks like baby Amur leopard. Oh yeah, so it looks like they have access to both habitats in here, which is so cool. I don't know, I just love that. Typically that's called rotational habitats, where you have two habitats designated for like the same animal or two different animals, but they switch every now and again. That is just so cool. So it looks like they have a little bit more of a tropical one over here. Meanwhile, they also have a lot more of a rocky and more kind of like almost tundra kind of one, which is so beautiful. All right, back to explore mode. I'm so sorry I keep on going up above. But over here, it looks like we have some interesting animals. Who are we over here with? Oh yeah, these are the Siberian tigers. So yeah, otherwise known as Amur tigers. Again, these guys just have an incredible habitat. I love how layered it is. Again, tigers are very avid swimmers, so they have this beautiful kind of like water area down here. That waterfall though, that just looks so cool. And one of my favorite things that I've seen some creators do is actually use pathways as a way to make different kind of like terrain in their exhibits. So you can see that they actually use the gravel pathway right in here, which is just so cool. I love that little motif. So continuing right back over here, it looks like we have a little bit of a bird exhibit. These are implied birds, which is really cool. These are typically the kinds of blueprints that you find on the Planet Zoo workshop. Specifically on PC, I'm not sure if any console players have made implied birds, but hey, this is how you do it. You make them out of eggs. So yeah, it looks like you have Moluccan cockatoos and chattering lories, sorry. Really, really cool stuff, and it sounds like you actually included some bird sounds in there too, which is fun. But look at this little viewing structure. This is so cool. So we can actually see the tigers over here, which again, this was all done in franchise. I feel like I haven't mentioned that enough. I just mentioned that at the start, but this was all done in franchise mode. So I believe that this actually ticks all the boxes for their welfare requirements, which is so cool. And yeah, they have albinos over there. I guess that's cool. Yeah, I'm sorry I'm not really fazed by like any rare color morphs or anything in Planet Zoo, but it's like I've been playing this game for so long and I'm so used to like color morphs. Oh, look at the wild bally minas. That's fun. Yeah, I'm so used to the color morphs that it's like not really interesting to me anymore. I'm sorry. So over here, I am not exactly sure who we have, but luckily we have these. Snow leopards. Snow leopards. This is going to be cool. So yeah, it looks like the snow leopards do have this incredible exhibit over here. I love how you made this. I really do. I really do. I feel like so many people tend to get stuck with the taiga plants for snow leopards, but it's so cool how you actually integrated some like tropical ones in here, because this is set in like a temperate tropical kind of environment. So you'd probably expect some of those exterior plants to make their way in here, which is so cool. There's also another view for this habitat over here, which I think is just so cool. And you can actually see just a little bit of snow, it looks like. I don't know, was that a snowflake? I'm not sure, but you can see a little bit of that rock work in there. It just looks so cool. Now, I do want to pop over here because these are probably some of my favorite animals. I went through kind of like a love-hate relationship with red pandas. I think they're on the mend for me recently because I'm done being a hater. But, yeah, these guys are just found at too many zoos at this rate. But it really is a great thing that they are part of too many zoos, because these guys are currently endangered, I believe, in the wild. So it's really good that zoos across the world, especially ones part of the AZA, are taking care of the red panda. And these guys have a beautiful habitat. This is probably one of the biggest red panda habitats I've ever seen in my entire life, but it looks like they have a ton of awesome climbing space in here. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this feels very familiar to me. I feel like this was from Riverbend Discovery Center. I believe it might be, but don't quote me on that. But if it is, I'm honored. If it isn't, you can tell me to go F myself, blogger. You can tell me, hey, I made this, you bastard. Get out of here. Quit trying to take credit for my zoo. But no, I just love this. I love this habitat so much. The red pandas just look so adorable too. Again, another animal that I have the remaster on for, because like, look how good quality this is. Look how much better it looks in this game. I don't know. I just especially love the remasters. Kaboy does such an incredible job with them. But that is such a good habitat right back there. And again, you have some koi right down below too, which is so cool to see. But that is just another great habitat by Blogger. Again, these Asian species, I feel like I don't really work for them enough. Like, I don't make enough exhibits with Asian species because they are just so beautiful. And their habitats are always so dynamic too. Like, one of the things that I think is so synonymous across the way is that each of these habitats, I'm sorry, I'm going back to the sky view, but each of these habitats presents its own little set of problems, not problems, but like interesting things that you can do. Like red pandas, they can't swim, so you make a moat, and they also have climbing space, so you make a really interesting climbing frame. But we go back here to the Amur tiger. These guys can climb, they can climb really well, which is why you have these really big steep walls with like these little guards for the people so they don't fall in. But they also need a bunch of climbing space, which is, well, I don't see any climbing frames in here, but that's totally fine because they have a lot of water, aquatic area in there too. And I think especially for animals like the Asian elephant, they have this incredibly large habitat. They require a lot of space, but it's making that interesting space. Well, it's making an interesting space to begin with. It's making that space interesting. And I think Blogger really did that super well. And if we even go back over here to like the gibbons too, these gibbons, the Siamings, they can't swim. So you gotta make do with the habitats with how you're given. So you, again, like the red pandas, you set up these really cool climbing frames, and you have a way for your animals to actually get on and off the island without letting them actually escape. It is just so cool. I also love to see good HVAC. HVAC, always happy to see it. Okay, back to where we were. We were about to check out the cranes over here. Really, really beautiful species over here. So happy that they came in the wetlands pack. But yeah, this is a beautiful looking aviary. Always do love to see aviaries in this game, especially for birds. We don't really have too many in Planet Zoo, so it's always great to see whenever we do have someone building for them. But this is a beautiful looking habitat in here. It looks so good. I don't know. Really great work. I'm sorry that was too quick, but I was so distracted by this view right over here. Like, that is just so cool. The pagoda is just beautiful. But I love this little garden area too. The nettle as like this little drooping ivy. That just turned out beautiful. I love that. I believe these are allium plants. I don't know. I think my aunt actually keeps these in her garden, but that is just so beautiful. I love those. But over here, who do we have? Is this just an open habitat? That is just nature area. You know what? That's fine. We always need more nature areas. Okay, no billboards. Can I just stress that? I did not download any billboards for this park. This is all made by hand. Like, that is so cool. I love these tiny little crane things over there. And like these bigger crane statues. That is just gorgeous. Not statue. You guys know what I mean. And over here, it looks like just more natural area. I love that. Just like not making your zoo just for animals, but making it for nature too. One of my favorite things that I'm seeing, like, as I start to get into zoo reviews, which I will have some like out soon, but I really appreciate when a zoo values natural area just as much as their habitats. Like, seeing this is great. But I'm thinking to a zoo I just went to, the Buttonwood Park Zoo. They have like all these beautiful naturalistic exhibits. But not only that, but every area in between, they have exhibitry, not really handmade, but really showcasing the natural world around them, the natural beauty within the zoo itself, like just showcasing it as its own. And I think that's so important, but that is beautiful, right? So I think that's number 7. And I think there are just a couple more habitats back here. So I will be kind of expediting this little tour a little bit. I did skip over a few things. This is cool. This is really cool. But I did skip over a few things just for the sake of time. I do need to get going soon. But this is just beautiful. So I believe this is Himalayan brown bear or Formosan black bear. Formosan black bear. Again, I'm sorry. I gotta flex it. Another beautiful remaster. These guys just look so much better. You can see him using his roller enrichment right there. I love that little animation. But he does have a little cub in here. Look at him. So oh. Well, that's a little unfortunate. It's a little unfortunate, buddy. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But no, that is quite a good habitat, especially for bears. You see, bears also present their own kind of like habitat things too. Especially bears that aren't as arboreal. They typically present a need for much larger kind of like habitat space, but it's making that look interesting, which is always super important. They also have a little bit of swimming space too, which is always so cool to see. But yeah, let's continue back over here as we check out, who do we have in here? Is that the palace cat? Oh no, that's a Himalayan brown bear. I think this actually came out before the palace cat was unveiled, which is kind of sad because I bet Planet Zoo Blogger would have made an incredible habitat for those guys. But this is the Himalayan brown bear exhibit. Not really my favorite animal in Planet Zoo because it's kind of stupid how we have it. But no, just a really cool habitat. Again, huge amount of space for this species in particular is really cool to see. Now, if we could actually see the species, they're all sleeping in their den right now. They're all sleeping in their den right now. So that is what they're doing. But really, really cool habitat to begin with. Love these coolers. I love these coolers, especially because this animal is more accustomed to the kind of like climate of the Himalayas. does tend to get a little bit colder over there. So I love how they were able to kind of seamlessly integrate those coolers. I mean, I know some people typically play the game like they care about the habitat needs first before they actually care about how it looks. So they put down coolers on the ground like that, but I love how you were able to actually integrate them into the infrastructure of the park itself. Like, that is so cool to me, Blogger, and you can see him coming out now. Look at him go. It looks like a big old teddygram. And I believe we have some primates over here from the sounds of these lovely pianos, but this is a great habitat back here. The Japanese macaque it's a really cool species. I especially am so happy to see like such a beautifully well done habitat that isn't just like, you know, the concrete pits that they typically tend to get stuck with in real life European zoos, because it is a little bit of a shame, because primates are so cool, like some of the coolest ecological lifestyles and like habitats that they live in. It's so cool to see how you were able to make it look in real life. This is awesome, especially these little hot springs. That scared me. It scared me. But yeah, that is just so cool, Blogger. I love that. And yeah, you have a little bit of nature area right through here too, through a little bit of a bamboo forest. Again, just letting the nature really shine for itself makes me so happy to see. And it looks like we are coming across the greater flamingos, and it looks like there is a couple more food shops in here. I'd love to see that. That's something I don't really do enough in my parks. I don't really add enough food stalls. But up here we have a beautiful habitat for the greater flamingo. I know people tend to really associate these guys with Africa, but greater flamingos and lesser flamingos for that extent. These guys actually do live both across Asia and Africa, so it really is cool to see so much representation for these guys in an Asian zoo. I really love that. Also, like, I'm preparing for Galapagos right now, and I've noticed that there was an observation on iNat for greater flamingo in the Galapagos. I don't know if that was true or not, but that, I don't know. Apparently they can get over there. All right, but finishing up right over here, we are slowly but surely making our way to the entrance. We can see that there is a big old habitat for the proboscis monkey, one of my favorite species in Planet Zoo especially, and in real life. I don't know, every single time I get one of my Instagram reels popping up with one of these guys, it makes me smile. It really does. I really hope I get the chance to see them in real life, but I think these guys should actually share their habitat with the Asian small-clawed otter. If I read that correctly, I'm not entirely sure. But these guys are capable of swimming, which is really cool how Blogger was able to incorporate a little bit of aquatic space in here, which is, it's just great. It's just great. All right, before we conclude, it seems we also have a binturong exhibit in here. Binturongs, also known as the bear cat, are probably some of the coolest animals out of Asia. I'm so happy that they're finally getting a lot more kind of like general animal recognition, I suppose, because they're just such an incredible species. They get to hang from their tails, they smell like popcorn, they're just a weird little guy, but it's so cool how in like the public atmosphere, they're starting to really become known. So I don't know, I just love these guys. Oh my gosh, like this is what I love to see too. Just these kind of like little centerpieces. These little centerpieces inside of the park really stand for themselves. I don't know, it just feels like every single angle in here can be its own little screenshot. Look at this garden bed too, it's so pretty. And I know there is so much more that can be seen inside this park, Blogger, but I want to leave some surprises for everyone at home too. So I think this is where we're going to end it. And I have to thank Blogger so much for submitting this to me. I do apologize. It's been like quite a long time since you've submitted it to me. And I apologize that it took so long to actually tour it. But this has been such an incredible project. I feel so inspired coming out of here because of everything you were able to do. It is just a beautiful project, and you should really, really be proud of yourself. Not only did you make an incredible zoo, you made it in franchise mode. Like, that's insane to me. But thank you all so much for watching. I'm gonna link Planet Zoo Bloggers channel, their kind of Steam workshop down below too. And pretty much everything else that you might need to tour this park for yourselves. Thank you so much for stopping along the way. Thank you so much to Planet Zoo Blogger for submitting this. This was awesome to check out. Probably one of my favorite Planet Zoo projects. And with that being said, be sure to stay subscribed in case if you guys want any more Planet Zoo tours. And with that being said, we'll end it right there. Thank you so much, and we'll see you all in the next video. Take care, and bye-bye.